Judy's heart was pounding like she'd just run a race. She stared at the screen, watching the cat fix her gaze on the photo. It almost felt like she was trying to say something. Could it be about her son in the military? Judy didn't think this was just a random moment. She had to act. So she picked up her phone and called her son. But nothing could have prepared her for what she'd hear once someone picked up. But before we dive into the story, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you won't miss any of our upcoming stories. Judy Miller always saw herself as a mom first. After marrying her high school sweetheart John, she never looked back. Becoming a mom felt like the next natural step. Judy still remembered the moment her baby boy was born. Tears filled her eyes as she leaned in close and whispered the first words he'd ever hear. "I love you, Adam." Judy did everything she could to give her son the best life. She started a college fund for him early and made sure he had a solid education. Then, when Adam turned 12 and begged her for a cat, she finally gave in. That's when little Toothless became part of the family. They adopted her as a kitten from the local shelter, and from that day on, she was one of them. Time flew by, and in what felt like a heartbeat, Adam graduated high school. But when he told his mom what he wanted to do next, it nearly stopped her heart. He said he was going to join the Army. Judy was shaken. Sending him off into the unknown wasn't easy, but she knew it was his dream. It was something he felt he had to do, and she wasn't going to hold him back. About a year into Adam's deployment, Judy noticed something odd with Toothless. She was now 6 years old and still clearly missed Adam. But this wasn't just sadness. Something was off. Toothless had never acted this way before. Judy didn't want to jump to conclusions, but she had to understand what was going on. It started with a photo in the living room. Judy noticed it had fallen over. At first, she thought it was just an accident, but when it happened 3 times, she couldn't ignore it anymore. Her husband hadn't touched it, which only left one suspect. Toothless. But why would she keep knocking over that one picture? Judy needed answers. So she decided to set up a camera in the living room to keep an eye on Toothless when no one else was around. The next morning, while Judy was doing her usual cleaning, she caught a quick glimpse of Toothless in the living room. Curious, she hurried over to her laptop to check the footage. On the screen, she watched Toothless quietly walk up to the same photo. Judy held her breath as the cat sat there for a moment, staring at the picture with soft eyes, and then gently knocked it over. There was no doubt now. It was definitely her. But Judy still had no idea why. The photo Toothless kept going back to was one of Adam. That part confused Judy the most. Why this photo? And why every single day? There were other photos in the room, but Toothless never touched those. Only this one. The next morning, Judy got up, brushed her teeth, got dressed, and started her day like usual. She made herself a cup of coffee and walked into her office to begin work. That's when she noticed she'd left her laptop open overnight, still showing the camera feed. But what really caught her off guard was what she saw next. Toothless was sitting in front of the screen, quietly looking at the photo on it. That's when everything suddenly clicked. Judy's heart started racing all over again. She stared at the screen, watching her cat look longingly at the photo. It wasn't just a coincidence. Was she trying to tell her something? Could it have anything to do with Adam? Judy didn't hesitate. She picked up her phone and called her son, but she had no idea what was coming. When the call finally connected, she heard a voice on the other end. It was Adam. Relieved, she quickly asked him if everything was okay. But she never expected what came next. She told him what Toothless had been doing, hoping maybe he could explain it. But as soon as Adam heard her mention the cat, his voice cracked. She could hear him begin to cry. Adam loved serving in the Army and believed in what he was doing, but it hadn't been easy. Adjusting to the distance and the routine was hard. He missed his family deeply, and he missed Toothless just as much. Hearing what his cat had been doing brought up a wave of emotions he'd been holding in. And then he admitted something he hadn't told her before. He had a plan, a secret he was keeping. But now, after hearing about Toothless, he couldn't keep it to himself anymore. Adam had decided to surprise his mom and his cat. He'd put in for leave and had actually been back in town for 2 days already. Somehow, without any clue from him, Toothless had sensed it, and the closer he got to home, the more restless she had become. Adam couldn't believe it himself. His cat had known he was near. Finally, he told Judy everything. He was already in town. The secret was out, and Adam was already on his way home. Judy could hardly sit still as she waited. An hour passed before there was a knock at the door, and nothing in the world could have prepared her for the moment she saw her son standing there. She hadn't seen him face to face in over a year. Adam stepped inside, and they both sat down to catch up. He was clearly glad to be home. As soon as Toothless spotted Adam, she leapt into his lap without hesitation. She rubbed her head against him and purred louder than Judy had ever heard. It was obvious how much this cat had missed her best friend. And Adam? He was just as happy to hold her again. The house was full of joy and warmth during that reunion, but it didn't last long. Adam had only been given 4 days of leave. The family had already planned a handful of outings to make the most of their short time together. Everything was going well at first. They had a hiking trip scheduled to Bulow Creek State Park that Friday, right at the start of Adam's break. But they never made it. Before they even left the house, the family received a phone call that changed everything. Adam's first deployment had taken him to a well-known high-risk area in the Middle East. Up until now, he'd been relatively protected from danger. As a trained computer engineer, he usually worked from the safety of his unit's base and didn't spend much time near the front lines. That was about to change. Judy had lived with a constant low-level worry ever since Adam joined the military. Like many parents in her situation, she tried not to let the stress show. Knowing that Adam stayed close to the base had helped her cope. But when the phone rang that day, everything she had pushed down came rushing back. Adam's commander was calling with bad news. While Adam was away on leave, a major insurgency had broken out near his unit's base. What had been a relatively calm area was now turning unstable. His entire unit was being recalled immediately for an emergency mission, and Adam's leave was being cut short. He didn't waste any time. Adam packed his bag again and got ready to head out. He stayed glued to the news and kept messaging other soldiers in his unit. Each day, the updates were worse. The conflict was escalating, and the danger to the base was growing. Local militia groups were growing in numbers and strength. The situation was no longer under control. For Judy, this deployment felt different. This time, she didn't have the small comfort of knowing he was far from the fighting. Watching her son head out again was almost unbearable. For the first time, Judy had to face what every mother dreads. The fear she'd tried to push down for so long was now staring her in the face. As the danger to Adam's life grew more real than ever, she gave him one last tearful hug, and just like that, he was gone again. When Adam arrived back at his base, he could feel it immediately. Things weren't the same. Security had been ramped up, and the whole place felt tense, like everyone was holding their breath. He'd never felt this kind of energy before. It didn't take long for him to realize that his desk job days were behind him. During his briefing, Adam learned that intelligence reports warned of an incoming threat. Militia groups had taken control of the mountains near the base, and a strike could happen at any moment. That's when Adam received his first field assignment. For the first time, he'd be out there, right in the middle of it. His unit was sent to track down one of the militia groups hiding in the hills. They found the camp, but before they could do much, an ambush broke out. Heavy gunfire rained down on them, and chaos took over. Adam's training took hold, but nothing could have prepared him for this. As he crouched behind cover, pinned down, the thought crossed his mind. He might not make it home. He thought of his mom, his dad. And then, strangely, he thought of Toothless. And in that moment, something strange happened. To this day, Adam still isn't sure if it was real or just his mind playing tricks on him. But as he crouched behind a hill, heart racing, something caught his eye. Through all the dust and danger, he spotted something moving in the distance. It was a cat. In the middle of that rocky, dangerous terrain, it looked just like Toothless. Back home, Judy had come up with a small way to help Toothless feel closer to Adam. She was tired of finding the photo knocked over again and again, so she started playing old home videos of Adam on the TV. Toothless had a favorite spot right in front of the screen. Every time she heard Adam's voice or saw his face, she'd sit quietly, purring, eyes fixed on him like he was really there. Against all odds, Adam and his team made it through the mission. No one from his squad was hurt, and whenever Adam tells the story, he always mentions that cat, how seeing it gave him this strange sense of peace, like someone was watching over him. It looked just like Toothless. Adam had never thought of himself as someone who believed in signs or anything mystical, but deep down he was sure that somehow Toothless had been there with him. Maybe not in body, but in spirit. That moment had stayed with him, and he truly believed it helped guide him back home. After the mission, Adam and his unit were honored with medals for their bravery and staying calm under fire. Slowly, the situation near the base began to improve. The insurgency was pushed back, and things returned to a more stable routine. After months of dangerous work and having his last leave cut short, Adam was more than ready for a proper break. When he finally made it home again later that year, the welcome he got was even more emotional than before. Judy could hardly contain her joy. Her son was home, safe, and standing right in front of her. And of course, Toothless wasted no time jumping straight into Adam's arms, purring like she'd been waiting every single day for this moment. Adam's tough experience out there had only deepened the bond he had with his cat. In his heart, he believed she had helped bring him back, and nothing could convince him otherwise. If this story touched your heart, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another true story like this one. And don't forget to share it with someone who could use a little warmth today.